Good evening, 9 o'clock on the dot. Me, Una, for my last live storytelling. So, how are you? I'm just gonna wait until some people come on before I start. I hope I say it every time, but the light is right in front of my face, so I don't know how much more brighter it can be. When you jump on, say hi, so I can say hi back. It's very much two-way. As you all know by now, I tell a story and we have a chat, so somebody's watching, so say hi. Jane. Hi, you made it, Jane. Brilliant. Thank you, Jane, for coming in. Thank you for being able to make it this evening, the last live of 2020. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Laurie. Thanks again for coming in as well. So, how are you? Can you believe it? How many more sleeps? 4? To Christmas, you can see my Christmas tree in the background. I'm once again in my living room with my book, Draft 1, to tell a story. A story of hope. A story with a purpose. I think you all know my acronym to talk. Somebody else. Say hi whenever you pop in so I can greet you as well, because it's really, really lovely that you're here to listen to this story and to have a chat. I appreciate everybody who comes on and everybody who listens. It's a Monday night. The Monday night, and I only sprang this on you yesterday. So if you're here, please say hi. So story once again with a purpose. Hi George. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for coming. You only joined the group like 5 minutes ago. I'm delighted. Dr. Muslim, hi. I can see your pictures coming up, so I am looking. So, a story with a purpose. Hi, Donna. Nice to see you. Hi, Muslim. Hi, Dr. Muslim. A story with a purpose. So, storytelling. Hi, Holly. Hi, Holly. Thank you so much. Hi, Nolene. Oh my goodness, this is brilliant. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. So, I suppose at this stage I can ask you guys, what does TALK stand for? But there's a bit of a delay, so maybe I'll just outline it. So every story has a purpose. Everything I do. Good evening, Dr. Muslim. How are you? Please tell me you're safe. Please tell me you're well. You're still in Baghdad? Inshallah, everybody is safe that you know. So the purpose of the storytelling is to talk. So T is to think of others. A is to appreciate what you have. L is to learn new perspectives and cultures. And K is to know more about the world. So just very briefly, for those of you who are very, very new, I lived across 2 continents, Asia and Africa, as a humanitarian. And I kept actual journals. I kept actual journals. And I'm in the process of writing these up to publish my story of what life was like as a humanitarian. It's a positive twist, of course. Yes, I was there because of post-war and famine and drought, but the stories are about my day-to-day living and the generosity. So in T-car, okay, Dr. Muslim, thank you. Everybody well, everybody safe, I hope. And to publish them, because although some of the villages, and I worked in extreme communities, they had nothing, but I always say they had something. A smile, a welcome, sometimes lunch. So I have picked 2 stories, 2 entries. It's a diary, so it's a daily diary. I couldn't find a long story, Jane. I know the last time you asked for a long one, but I couldn't find a long one. Hi Paula, good evening, welcome sister. I couldn't find a long one, so I've extracted 2, and it's an interesting story. It's going to Kabul by road. So it was a road trip that I took with an organisation I didn't work with, but I worked alongside. And although some of you may know some of my stories, I have been to Kabul before, but I hadn't been by car. So I thought I would lift this up of interest. So if it's okay with you guys, Ross, you made it. Ross. Ross, wow. Hi, Ross. Hi, wonderful man. Ross and I were in Afghanistan together. And Ross, this story will be familiar to you. That's all I'm going to say. Ah, I'm so flattered. How are you? You still in Canada? You still well? It's been a long time, sir. A long, long time. Ross and I worked together in Mazar. Oh my goodness, I'm all nervous now because Ross is watching. So anyway, if you want to sit back and listen to a couple of diary entries, and yeah, and then we can, ask me questions throughout. Ross, you're new. Paula, you caught the end of the last one. You know, ask away, add comments. Just very briefly, every story has a purpose: to talk. T, to think of others. A, to appreciate what you have. L, to learn new perspectives and cultures. And K, to know more about the world. So if you think of those things and listen to a couple of my stories and see what you, 2002, yes, almost 20 years. 20 years in 2022, which is when I'm hoping to get this published, when I will get this published. 14th of March, I went into Mazar Sharif in Afghanistan. So although it's a long time, it's like a lifetime away. I close my eyes and I'm there. Ross, when your name came up, I just thought I remember everything so vividly. So I'll begin and then sure we can have a chat after. Okay. Monday, 16th of September, Kabul by road. I'm so excited this morning. Up exceptionally early as myself and my two friends no names are mentioned, are going to Kabul by road. A trip of a lifetime, an experience not to pass up. Wow, it is great that I'm going with the World Food Programme, WFP, because we travel in style in the big UN white 4x4 cars. No wonder people feel safe in a Jeep, because I feel really safe in this car right now. We drive out of Mazar and we are so excited. I all of a sudden turn into a little girl and laugh and squeal and shout with excitement. I've been to Kabul a number of times, but never by car. I'm told it will take 7 hours, so I better hold on to this energy. Of course, we travel in convoy, as is the norm, so off we go. The scenery is amazing. The mountain ranges, the colours, the sky, cloudless. On and on it goes. The roads are not the best, but this car can take it. We stop off for a pit stop, and I reluctantly go off the road and find a large rock. One needed to go to the bathroom. I have those words in my head: stay on the road, because there are so many landmines off the road. But I need to go to the toilet. My friend R courteously takes out a camouflage sheet for a little bit of dignity, as the last time I did this, the day I took the helicopter flight, as soon as I start going to the toilet, a car will just appear. All is well, dignity kept, deed is done, and I do what needs done and head back on the road. We chat and we listen to some music and feel very, very cool, as of course the air conditioning is on. All of a sudden the terrain changes and it gets mountainous again, and I see we're coming up to the Salang Tunnel, the famous tunnel, 2.67 kilometers long in the Hindu Kush Mountains. It is like a big, dark, black semicircle. Either side of the road up the entrance are old army tanks, just abandoned, as no one dares to move them in case they are booby-trapped. These are from the Soviet occupation of this most gorgeous country. I have heard of the stories. There is no ventilation inside the tunnel, and no lights, and it is one way. Many have died in this tunnel due to breaking down, so there's no ventilation. And as soon as we enter the tunnel, you're almost knocked out by the smell of fumes from the cars. It is pitch black. Close your eyes, and that's how dark it was. All you can see are the back lights of the car in front of us. And I hold the Celtic cross around my neck, praying we don't break down, because I know I would not be able to run out of this tunnel if that happened. What a contrast when we come out of the tunnel. I'm almost blinded by the light, as I've just been in the darkest of places, quite literally, and then I'm right in the sun. We're all relieved and drive on, saying nothing. It is part of the route, but I know I have just been through something quite different, which not many people in the world have. Well, maybe humanitarians. It takes us 7 hours to get here, but I'm so pleased this opportunity came, and myself and my colleague were allowed to come. I suppose I'm leaving in a couple of weeks, and maybe that was the reason why I didn't question the answer yes. We head off to WFP in the city and find out that our friend R has to stay until Thursday. We didn't expect this, so after lunch, in a restaurant, in a very, very busy city, we tried to organise a flight for Wednesday. Well, that is a waste of time. There is no chance for a flight on Wednesday, so I suppose I'm here until Thursday. I'll head back on the road again. Stay on WFP for a long time, as another friend of mine, M, was there, a great guy I miss from Mazar. It is really good to see him, to say hello. I've only known him since I've been in Afghanistan, but he's like an old friend to me, and that's the way relationships are. It's very intense and very quick, and they're like old friends after a month or two. Back to the house and tell the programme manager the news. She is not happy. But really, there's not much I can do. So I catch up with B and hear all about her new man, some gossip and crack. Finally, that's a teammate. Head off back to WFP for dinner. Our boss has cooked dinner, so we just sit and chat and feel like we could be anywhere. Home for 10 and chat away to my friends in the guest house. Bed at 11. Tired, but happy. Tuesday, 17th September. Up really late today, 9:30. I haven't seen this time for a long time in bed. I'm just really tired from the drive, as even though the car was a good car, 7 hours is a long road trip. That's probably from the tip of Ireland to the bottom of Ireland, and that's the road trip from Mazar Sharif to Kabul. We head off into the office and it isn't a good time, as we get abuse for spending so much time in Kabul. I have no other way of describing it, period. We get a hard time. I suppose it is my third trip, but there was no way I was going to miss this opportunity of a road trip to the capital, so I will take the hassle on the chin. I know I'm here to work, but I do leave in a couple of weeks. I really can't understand the problem. God, maybe it looks like I'm having too much fun. In a way I am, because I'm on wind down, but I'm also still working very hard. I do find out in the office that the job in Sudan is not happening. It is now changed to Ethiopia. So the continent of Africa, here I come next. So we avoid the house, me and my friend, for the rest of the day. We can't get a car, so we take a local taxi. The security is a little bit more relaxed today, and these taxis are vetted, so it isn't just a random car that we flag down. We go off to have lunch in the Intercontinental Hotel. It is such a shock when we walk into the hotel. It is so clean, white, sparkling, and really, really cold, as they have air conditioning on. The variety of food is unbelievable, both traditional, Afghan and Western. But we both stick to salads, as it's really, really hot, and we don't have that much money with us. We're expats. I got a per diem of $100 a month. That was it, and I volunteered for my first year and a half, so we didn't have that much money. After we go on a walkabout, we find out this is called Journalism Hill, where all the journalists would have gone in the height of the war to report. We find a set of swings, and for about 15 minutes totally forget where I am. Myself and my friend R, we just sit on a swing and swing on a hill in the capital in Kabul. Of course, I take lots of pictures. The view is pretty spectacular, but sadly a lot of buildings are completely destroyed, but I still get the grandeur of the place as I have seen it before on a tour. Go shopping after and go to Chicken Street, shop until 6. We really didn't want to go back to the office after the morning antics. Head home and freshen up and go to my friend's house for dinner with M and R and have a blast. We sit outside and chat for hours and hours, chat until it starts to get cold and time for my fleece. Go back to WFP guest house to watch the Antarctic video, a video my friend had made, which has penguins in it, and I just love penguins, so I love the movie. I love the video, and I forget once again where I am. Head back home and sit up and speak to the programme manager, who is lovely to us once again, but sadly no apology for her behaviour earlier on. Such is life. Maybe she was having a bad day earlier, giving her the benefit of the doubt and all that. Bed for 11 p.m. Shattered but happy. That's it. So that's my storytelling. It was an experience. I don't know if anybody on this call has been there. I know someone has, Ross. It without giving anything away. If you come on, please say hi. I'd love to just say hi back. So it was very much, I was so excited. I'd been to Kabul twice on a flight, and this came up, and I literally, if you can see, that's what I've left in my journal. So these dates were I finished off the 17th of September, and I actually leave Afghanistan on the 30th of September. Oh, thank you, Jane. Thank you so much. I mean, the journal contains a lot of what happened. There's a few things that, you know, are significant to me and would maybe give someone away or give something away, but I'm putting pretty much 97% of what happened. And that was what happened. I'm there to work. I was a humanitarian, and I'm portraying my day-to-day, and yes, sometimes you got hassle. Amazing story you described so well. It feels like we are there with you. Oh, thank you, Holly. Wow. Thank you for sharing a wonderful experience. Thank you, George. Yeah, so it's day to day, so opportunities, and this is one thing I've been reflecting on lately myself as opportunities come. And recently an opportunity was like here in my hands, and I was like, I'm going to take it, and that's how it felt with going to Kabul in a car. Like the time I took the helicopter ride, I think I've told that either on a live or on my YouTube channel, in 11, which I'm going to work on next year to share more stories. So, you know, I will probably never be back in Afghanistan. That tunnel was a trial by exhaustion. Yep. You remember Ross? If anybody has half a brain, they'll work out R and Ross. Yes, Ross was, if I may, Ross was in Afghanistan. Was he there at the same time as me? Who knows? Yes, the tunnel. The tunnel was scary, actually, and the darkest place I've been in physically, been in for visuals. But it was an experience I'm not gonna let go of. So, you know, we did get quite a bit of hassle. Ross, I don't know whether you were aware of that or not, but we got a little bit of hassle because that was my third time in the capital. But I wasn't going to not go. So the news then came in. I was expecting to go to Sudan, and then the news came in when I was there that it was actually Ethiopia. So I've started to write up Ethiopia. I'm a couple of weeks in, so going from the continent of Asia to the continent of Africa, very, very different. Very, very different. So if you have any thoughts, any questions, I'm happy to answer. But, you know, it's me sharing a story when I share it too. It's a diary entry. That's how I visualize my book. How it's going to read, whether that's the case or not, who knows. This is very much draft one. You don't write a book from draft one. So I'm told. So the idea is to share my story. What a privilege, Ross, and I know you were in different countries before Afghanistan, and you were in different countries after, like me. What an experience, what a privilege to be able to be in these particular countries and pass on our learnings and our specialisms and work ourselves out of a job. I'm a very proud Irish woman, and I'm proud of what I've done internationally, and this is why I want to bring it forward in my business, and Unique New Adventure Limited, through rejoicing in our differences through education. You know, because everything was different to me in Afghanistan, and then I moved to Ethiopia and Angola, and then Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan, Kuwait, Iraq, Jordan. Thank you, Jane. Yes, they were, and I close my eyes and I'm there, and sometimes I see pictures and I find it hard to believe it was me. Left then Iraq, went back a second time, and then went back to the continent of Africa, went to Niger, and then South Sudan. Thank you, Ross. Thank you very much. Are there any of the countries you're planning to return to? I have to look at the different countries. When I worked in Niger, Holly, it was more development. It was development. It was continuation of a survey, a nutrition survey. In Afghanistan, it was emergency. And in the Middle East, in Iraq, it was emergency. I was in Afghanistan 4 months after the fall of the Taliban. And in Iraq, it was 1 month after Saddam Hussein fell. So it was very much emergency. Niger was more development. Interesting way of seeing the world. Absolutely, Ross. Yeah, I mean, these have seen so many things, and this has tasted such food and heard and felt and smelt. It really is a wonder. Now the world is so small because I'm still in contact with some of my friends from all over the world, Ross, and we've been on WhatsApp, and some of my brothers come on. Hi, Linda. Some of my Iraqi brothers come on my lives as well, you know, and don't think the time suits Afghanistan, but there's always catch up. So I would love to go back to the Middle East. I would love to go back to Afghanistan, actually. I don't know what my husband would say, but I have two young boys, 4 and 8. So I want them to be up a little bit before I go back. But I do want to go back and get fresh experience. My last experience was in DR Congo about 10 years ago, maybe 11, and I want to get fresh experience because the terrain hasn't changed. Hi, laughing. Much love to you. Thank you so much, Linda. I am so courageous. That's my. I didn't feel at the time, but there were a couple of hairy moments, Jane, where I thought, oh, but I was going. I was determined. How long have you known me? I'm very determined, and I finished my studies, international nutrition. I couldn't get out for 2 years. I applied and applied and applied. Loads of letters going, it's all very well being a technical expert, but you've no field experience. Nice story, you always coped well with any country you worked in. Thank you, Dr. Muslim. Yes, I got on with it and I loved it and I enjoyed it, and I spoke with sisters and I loved it, and I was very respectful. Always respectful. And so I couldn't get out for 2 years. And then within half an hour I got a phone call. I had 2 jobs. I was offered 2 years in East Timor and then 6 months in Afghanistan. So, you know, there were a couple of hairy moments, but I do feel, when I look back, it was a very courageous thing to do, but I didn't think of it then. It's funny when you reflect, you think of other things, and I picked a word for next year, and that's courage. There's a couple of things happen next year, and it's courage in a different way. But yeah, it was yeah, there were hairy moments, but you know, I didn't fixate on those instances. I was very, Ross backed me up. I had my radio on. I adhered to curfew. You did what you were supposed to do. Otherwise, some people would have been sent home. Repatriation was offered once in Mazar because people weren't listening to the radios. Hi guys, some people are jumping on. Say hi, so you can say hi back if you want. People weren't listening to their handheld radios. I remember my call sign, Golf Foxtrot 412. How sad is that? From almost 20 years ago, and you had to have your radio on all the time, even sleeping, because if anything ever happened, it could save your life. So you always had a radio, you always had your ID around you. I mean, it was hairy. It was hairy. So at the time, Jane, I didn't really think I was courageous. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. I always wanted to help people help themselves, with respect and dignity, and that's what I did. But now, when I think back, I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? And my poor parents, because especially when I went into Iraq, especially when I went into Iraq, and Dr. Muslim, you may not know this, but when I went into Iraq the first time, I was there twice, 2 different agencies. The first time I went in, I was pulled out of Angola, and in Angola there was no TV. So the silver World Service radio I had, and I was listening to poor Iraq being destroyed, absolutely destroyed. I'll come back to that in 2 minutes, Jane. So that was just the place was destroyed. So I went into Iraq with no visuals, and my parents. So I saw when I come home, which is courage personified. I saw my parents' reaction because a friend of mine got married when I went to Iraq the first time, and I came back out and I saw the TV visuals of my parents seeing my reaction, their reaction, because the place is being destroyed, and I had seen none of that. So I went in not knowing. What kind of things did you have to do? The rules that you mean, Jane? Well, you had a curfew, so you were driven. You never drove. You were always driven. Hi Rad, how you doing? Good to see you. You were always driven, so you always had a driver. You always had a translator. Although I learned a little bit of Dari, not enough to be on my own. As a female, I always was driven. But everybody was driven, even the men. So you were driven. You lived in a compound with guards. Now, when I went in, waiting a bit while the kids are young, totally speaks to me. You're definitely courageous. Oh, thank you, Holly. Thank you so much. So I will go back to maybe development, Holly, to finish off that. Maybe not the emergency situation, but I would, yes, nutrition survey. I would want to go back to, I'd love to go back and find the people and go to the same villages I visited and worked in. So you were driven. So you lived in a compound, so you drove past guards. You had to sign out in the morning in the house, and then you were driven to work. Sometimes in convoy, sometimes single. You always sat in the back. Well, I always sat in the back as a female. It was a traditional way, the local way I did that. I arrived at the office. Your guards let you in. You signed in. Hi, Martina. How you doing? You signed in. You're in the office. Every time you left the office, you signed in, you signed out. So every second of every day, you were knowing where you were. That was the importance of the radio. You had a call sign, and there were different channels you used to go on. You know, breaker, means stop what you're doing and go on a particular channel. If there's any incidences, there were a couple of shootings and there were a couple of things going on in the city, which meant you had to come back to the office in convoy. There was a curfew. Regrets must leave. Hugs and Merry Christmas. We'll be in touch. Please do, Ross. It'd be lovely to chat to you. Thanks for coming in. It was lovely just to see you, just to see your name. I'm really flattered. Thank you. So you had a curfew and you stuck to it, and that was it. For lots of reasons why you had curfew. So Afghanistan was a dry country, so you wouldn't have drank openly. I know the odd time I did. I'm not going to say I didn't, but it was done under the counter. You respected the local ways and the local traditions. And I scarved. I wore shalwar kameez. I wore, which is long arms, and baggy. My figure wasn't shown, and baggy trousers, and a scarf. And I was always scarved for cultural reasons. And I would have gotten looks from women like, thank you, with no words. So that was highly recommended going in. So you got a security brief before you went in. So before I left Dublin to go to Afghanistan, I was sat down and through documents about safety and security and what you do and what you don't. You don't stay over in people's houses, you know, initially. You can, as time goes on, the drivers get to know you. You just really have to listen to what's going on. Sometimes there's stay-ins when you stay in the office. Sometimes some of the villages I was accessing for nutrition surveys weren't accessible because of security. Sometimes you just had to lock in the irony now and stay in the house for a day or two. So it was just always having the radio on. So going to bed with the radio beside you in case, and you had a go-to bag, which basically meant you had a bag at your door. God forbid you had to leave immediately, you were able to grab it. And in that was a toothbrush, you know, soap, underwear, change of clothes, some emergency food and a bottle of water, and a spare battery. And a copy of your passport. You wouldn't have brought your passport, a copy of your passport, in case you needed to leave the country. So those types of things. But you were always driven. I never drove in a car. Because, well, partly because it wasn't the done thing traditionally as a female over there. Even the males didn't drive, but the driving, my philosophy is I close my eyes and hope to God nothing was going to happen, because, you know, the horns all the time. So it's just being very, I was giving myself goosebumps. And when I think about it, and when I first came home, funny Jane, when I first came home and I answered the phone at Mum and Dad's house, I answered the phone saying Golf Foxtrot 412, because it was so ingrained, and that's how you called. So there would have been Golf Foxtrot 411. So Golf Foxtrot 412, do you copy over? Yes, use the message. And this is a little bugbear, and I know Laurie's on it and Ross is maybe away. But when you hear over and out, that's not what I was told is correct. It's over, out. It's two separate. This is so interesting. Many things you didn't think of on the surface. Yeah. And you know, so how you dress, how you hold yourself, how you speak, where you sit. If you went out for lunch, you know, in some of the restaurants in Mazar Sharif, there was a female section, and that was usually behind a sheet, so there was privacy, because I would have been there with my female colleagues and friends and sisters, and there was always a car waiting there, so you wouldn't have been left in a location alone. And that was because, I suppose, of the security. I mean, we did take day trips, and you've heard some of my stories. We did take day trips here and there, but you were always, Osma, Hello, how are you? Nice to see you here. You always were just sensible. But yeah, there was a serious, and it's in my journal, it'll be in my book, there was a serious conversation one day. Everybody was pulled into the living room, and there were 14 in my team, and basically told, if you don't answer your radio, you will be sent home. Because I'm so thorough, and I'm not a martyr, and I mean that with the greatest respect. I was there to do a job, and if I couldn't do my job, I removed myself, because I removed myself from Baghdad because it was too hairy. I moved to Jordan, but people were ringing me through my radio to get my colleagues, because my colleagues weren't picking up their radio signal. And these you've seen the army, maybe TV, you might have heard things or read things, and these radios could have saved my life if they weren't turned on, and would have saved my life. So that's the type of thing, Jane, you had to be just so mindful. And I have a really, really strong sixth sense, and there were a number of occasions I just told my translator that I didn't feel well, and I asked to go. I just didn't feel safe. Most of the time I felt really safe. I was very welcomed. I have lots of friends. I still have lots of friends. But I was a Westerner. I am a Western, as I was described. I'm very different looking. I'm very white. I'm very pale. Now, I was very, very red, but I was scarfed for cultural reasons, traditional reasons, and also for the sun. We're talking 45, 50 degrees heat in the summer. So, but I was obviously very different looking. So you were always listening, even though you didn't understand the language, you were listening, you were constantly, not like a soldier, because soldiers are trained that way, but you were constantly watching. And there was one incident, actually, a friend of mine reminded me that I was in a health clinic. This was in Iraq, and there was a metal pole coming down from one of the windows, and it was a young boy, and even when I think about it now, we thought it was a sniper, and we all had to leave immediately, and it wasn't. It was a young boy playing a trick. So you were constantly, without being rude, and when I speak to people through a translator, that heat must be incredible. It was. In Iraq, I had 62 degrees centigrade for 2 days. One day there was no electricity, so there was no fan. I don't know how. I got loads of whiteheads in my forehead, Holly. Really disgusting. First time in Iraq, and that was it. Yeah, first time in Iraq. Whiteheads, rashes, like disgusting, and no one said anything. When I was leaving, one of the doctors said, "Oh yes, Miss Erna, you had this rash on your face." Respectfully didn't say to me, and I was so paranoid because I had like forehead of whiteheads because it was so hot. My body didn't know what was going on, and because I'd come out of Angola, which is a really, really humid country, there's AC everywhere, so my body actually thought Angola was cold. And then I went to Afghanistan in April. I left in May to go to my friend's wedding. I came back and my body went through the same. My body thought I'd been in a cold country. So rashes, and yeah, it's pretty disgusting, but it's amazing what our body can go through. Well, physically, mentally and emotionally, but the heat. I remember a friend of mine, and this will come up when I was in where was I, in Iraq, in Nazareth, the first time, and we both went, we shared a room. Normally you had your own room, but sometimes you didn't, and you've always got a translator, so you're never on your own. But we both went to bed in the nip, and we had headscarves, and we wet them, and we lay covered in a wet headscarf because we had no AC, and it was 55 degrees centigrade, and at night it was about 35, 40, and we had an old fan just circulating the warmer. So sleep wasn't great, so usually we got along, when it hit the heat in Afghanistan, we got a 2-hour lunch. So I would have slept a part of that, ate and then slept. But listen, I'm going on, and I'm conscious that I don't know what time it is. It's 25 to 10. So yeah, that's two of my diary entries. Whether it'll be a diary, whether it'll be stories. There's, as I say, it's coming up to the end of leaving Afghanistan. So I have done, this is my 4th live, and I want to thank Holly. Holly, we were supposed to chat tonight, and I want to thank you for letting me move our chat to the new year, because I did mention last week about doing a live, and quite a number of you said yes. So thank you, Jane. Thank you so much. So I hope it's hard to imagine. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to portray in words. which why when I write, love your stories. Thank you so much, Jane. It's why when I write, I am immersed in it, because I need to describe everything over, because the situations and the scenarios were so different to what I'm used to here in Belfast, Ireland. So I hope you've enjoyed these couple of stories. I said I was going to do a live once a month. I put the dates in for next year. I'm going to commit and do a live once a month. I'm not going to do my YouTube mid-month, because I have a big project coming up. Hi Rahid, Assalamu alaikum, welcome. I have a big project coming up next year, so I'm not going to be able to do anything on YouTube. I'm working on my YouTube, because I'm trying to get the story out, the story of humanity, story of talking, thinking of others. Enjoyed all your stories, all good. Always look forward to the next one. Thank you so much, Holly. T is to think of others. A is to appreciate what you have. L is to learn new perspectives and cultures. And K is to know more about the world. So I hope out of those 4, you've been able to tick off a couple of them, at least one, that you know a little bit about. You know, when I described, you've thought of others. You know, you've appreciated your own safety, your own security, your own movements. Different cultures. I talked about scarving, being scarved, and being driven around and whatnot, and then know more about the world. You know, you've learnt about the Saline Tunnel. Maybe you knew about it, maybe you didn't, but it was very, very interesting. So, Rahid, I'm just about to wrap up, but you can catch the repeats. So, thank you so much, folks. I'm conscious that the time's going on, and it's Monday night, a couple of sleeps to Christmas. So, those of you who celebrate, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Those of you who respectfully celebrate with us, thank you. Because that's what happened when I was in Islamic countries, both around Christmas time and Easter time. Even though those holidays aren't celebrated in those countries, they were respectfully celebrated with me. And they were acknowledged, and lots of discussions took place. And isn't that just the way it should be? And even when I was in Baghdad, Christians and Muslims lived side by side. At the time, it was peaceful. And I know that isn't the case at the moment. Thank you so much, Holly. But I think people are people. And I see people as people, not naively, but I see people as people. Under the skin, we're all the same. We love the same, we hurt the same, and we learn the same. So I hope you learned something tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you all in the new year. You see me online. Thank you, Jane. I've been sharing my learnings. And as I say, I have a big project coming up next year. My book, my full book. I'm really excited about getting that out and sharing more stories. Some day-to-day mundane stuff, some really interesting things that I cannot believe I experienced. And yes, courage came in bucket loads on occasion, Jane. You mentioned that word, and that's actually my word for next year. Courage. You know, even doing these lives, I never knew anybody would turn up. So thank you all for turning up, for supporting me, for adding comments, for listening, for enjoying, for having two-way conversations sometimes. It really, really is amazing, and I made this decision a number of months ago to do this, and it's helping me with my confidence in telling the stories, because this is all, I'm a storyteller, and this I enjoy, as you can tell. You're very welcome, Dr. Muslim, and a Happy New Year. Thank you, and a Happy New Year to you too. Say hi to anybody in Tikar who remembers me, Miss Una. I miss you all dearly, and I close my eyes and I'm there. I genuinely would love to go back. I loved Iraq. I loved all the countries I was in. I left a little bit of my heart in Iraq, a little bit of my heart in Afghanistan. The other countries as well, but the work was longer and the work was different. And yeah, just amazing, amazing countries. And sadly, Dr. Muslim, Iraq is, sorry I missed this, got stuck on a call. That's okay, Sandra. Nice to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. You can catch us in the replay. Thank you. I'm honoured that you came in this evening. My evening, your day. It's heartbreaking when I see the news about Iraq, because it's It's a very, very special place to me. I went in twice. I loved it. I love it. And I will return, inshallah, as you say, one day when it's safe to return. I got the last commercial flight out of Baghdad. I managed to get out. I was very, very lucky to get out on the last commercial flight. And I made sure I got the stamp on my passport. Yes, is a smile and a nice thing, but it's not a nice reason why I had to leave. So without getting too heavy and too serious, I do think of you always, Dr. Muslim, and all my Iraqi brothers and sisters and all my Afghani brothers and sisters. Forgive me. And all my sisters and brothers across the continent of Africa, in Ethiopia and Angola, in Niger, in South Sudan, in DR Congo. Thank you so much for welcoming me and allowing me in your countries. So on that note, it is goodbye from me. Lots of love from Belfast, Ireland. And watch it, Sandra, catch it up. Anybody who called on at the end, let me know your thoughts. And I will catch you live again at the end of January. So take care, folks. Stay safe. We're going to serious. Hi, Nana. I didn't know you were on. Hi, thank you. Feeling is mutual. All of them remember you. Oh, but that's lovely. I remember them. My heart, part of my heart is still there. And we will be together one day, inshallah. So have a wonderful Christmas and New Year. Stay safe. We're going on severe lockdown a couple of days after Christmas. But it's mentally preparing myself. It's not the end of the world. This too shall pass. So on that note, I always find it hard to say goodbye. But no tears this time. I'm getting used to seeing my brothers, Dr. Muslim. It's so lovely. And we were so close when you came to Newcastle upon Tyne, and it just didn't work out. And the next time you come, it will work out. It will work out, inshallah. So good night. God bless. And I will catch you all very, very soon. Thanks for coming in. Bye for now.